to today's webinar. Today's topic is We Welcome You. Now we're going to talk about how to get answers to your questions. If you notice, you've got a question pane. You can type any question you have in this pane. It's going to broadcast messages to all the attendees. Then you can type your question here and then make sure that you push send. And our session's now going to begin, and we want to thank you all for joining us this afternoon. So Walter, are you there?
I am here, Miss Kathy.
I'm going to give you the screen, Mr. Floriani, and let's show them the new stuff.
Thank you very much, Miss Kathy. Good afternoon, everyone. Hugs and stitches to you all. Let me get my screen up here. Now, I want to start this afternoon, and again, I want to thank DJ, I want to thank Kathy, I want to thank the entire staff. It is an afternoon. I'm used to doing these at night when the building is empty. We got a building full of people, but I feel like I got a little crowd. I am all pumped up, and let me start off by saying that this is an historical moment for myself and R&K Distributing. And you know what? I wasn't going to say it, but I'm a little compelled to talk about, I guess, just a little brief history. I kind of feel like my dad's close by, and I want to bring him up for a minute. My father passed away back in 1995, and my dad and I had worked about 35 years together in this embroidery industry, and the first day I went in that office without him, it was different for me. Embroidery, and most of you who know me know that it's a passion for me, and it is truly one of the loves of my life. I do love this process so very much, but that first day I walked in the office without my dad, it was different. It just wasn't the same. Long story short, I semi-retired way back in 1996. Thought my career was pretty much over in this embroidery process, although I started a little embroidery club on the internet and was educating in about 18 different countries at that time. I was very, very proud of that. But sometime in early 1997, I got invited to something called a craft show. And I knew a little bit about the home industry, the hobbyist industry, but not that much about it. I was told that I would go to that show and I would meet a bunch of embroidery enthusiasts. I thought to myself, embroidery enthusiasts? Well, I knew a few, but they were all in my family. And I thought, were there more of us? So I went to that show. And you know what, I walked through that show that very first day, and I had only walked one aisle, and that was all that it took. And I guess I never fell out of love with embroidery when I retired. It just was different for me. And after walking one row of those booths at that very first show, it was like I re-fell in love with it. It was like I had come home. The work that I saw, the freestanding work, the passion that I felt from so many of you for this process, it overwhelmed me. The creativity that I sensed and I saw at that first show overwhelmed me. At the same time, I felt you all lacked a little bit of something, and those were just some very simple technical skills. And I really did feel like I had come home. And I decided that I wanted to get involved with your industry. It was time for me to give a little back to an industry that I've loved so very much for all of my life. At this point in time, or at that point in time, I had become very, very dear friends with Rick and Kay Brooks. Rick and Kay used to own Best Sewing out of Knoxville, Tennessee. They had just recently retired, and I was thinking about adding to my product line, and Rick and Kay and I sat down and we started talking, and I realized that Kay at the same time was thinking about redeveloping Stabilizer, which was kind of part of the agenda that I had put together. Long story short there, we decided to develop Floriani Stabilizer. So Rick and Kay and I hooked up. They formed R&K Distributing, became worldwide distributors of my Floriani product line. I am so very, very proud of that. We knew it was a good idea. I didn't know how good an idea it was. You have all embraced our product line so much that you have turned us into, if not the largest, one of the largest stabilizer companies in the world. We thank you very much for that. But now to jump a little ahead, at about that same time, they had talked to me about developing software, Floriani software, and I'll tell you quite honestly, I didn't really want to. at that point in time. Why? Everyone had software. Everyone I met had a piece of software. Why would folks buy another program? I didn't quite understand. But then as I researched it a little bit, I realized you all weren't using your program. In fact, I found most people were using this program as a transfer vehicle to get the blessed design from the software over to the machine. But I still didn't really want to undertake developing software. So I went to a lot of the software companies in the industry and just shared with them that I thought they had made software a little too difficult. They made the process too difficult. Those of you who've seen me speak around the country know that I always talk about how simple the embroidery process is. So I made some very simple suggestions to the software companies about what they could do with software. I never approached them like I knew more than them. Those of you who know me also know I don't have an arrogant bone in my body about what I know about embroidery. I love this process. It's been a lifelong learning curve for me. But I found as I went around the country and talked to different software companies, they didn't really react to it. They didn't want to do much with their program. It seemed to me to simplify the process for all of you. And so I got a little frustrated, and after some time, I went, well, let's go ahead and do it. And I agreed to get involved in developing Floriani software. You see, I wanted to do away with what I call the what did I do wrong kind of attitude that I felt was so prevalent. You folks come to shows, you buy machinery, you buy designs, you go home, you run designs, they don't run real well, and right off the bat you think you did something wrong. I say this at every event that I teach at, you never did anything wrong. Almost in every case I can show you how the greatest challenge are the designs that we purchase, and I'm not putting anyone down, I'm really not. People didn't have what I had, the ability to sit next to an embroidery master growing up. I always tell this story, but as difficult as ever learning embroidery was for me, folks, was turning to my left or my right and saying, hey, Dad, what the heck's going on here? The father always had the same answer. Oh, you knucklehead, how many times do I have to tell you? God's honest truth, I was 18 years old before I realized my middle name wasn't Knucklehead, but there was a simplicity to that. Sitting next to an embroidery master, all my questions were answered. And people didn't have that. In fact, the last conversation I ever had with my grandfather, I said to him, I said to him 2 months before he passed away, I said to him, you know what, Pop? I said, I think, sir, I can make a living teaching people how to create embroidery designs like our family always has. And I shared with them that day that I didn't think people would, again, ever have what I had. And I said, look, I got to sit next to Dad, and Dad got to sit next to you. My grandfather got to sit next to his father. And for those of you who don't know, my great-grandfather got to sit next to the man who invented this process, Mr. Isaac Grobley in the Swiss Alps. And I said, they sit and they struggle, trial and error, trying to learn embroidery, Pop. I think I can do this. And I'll share with you all that I was not the first. I was one of the first people who ever taught the digitizing process publicly. There were no schools that you could go to, no books that you could read back then. Well, at that time in my grandfather's life, he had had a series of strokes, hadn't spoken English to me in over a year. And on that day, he looked at me, and he made direct eye contact with me, and he said to me, Walter, tell him how simple it is. Was the last words he ever said to me in English. Certainly, he went right back to speaking Swiss and Italian after that, and I never forgot that day. And since that day, I dedicated my life to simplifying the process. So when we undertook the development of Floriani software, that was my major goal. I wanted to simplify the process, and I wanted to amplify the process. I wanted to do away with the what did I do wrong attitude. I wanted to make designs run better. So we developed Save to Sew. Save to Sew was revolutionary. For the first time, you could take a design, pick a specific piece of material, it would change the underlay, the distortion value, the density for now what is 65 different materials. Save to Sew was revolutionary. We amplified the editing. In fact, I'll call it extreme editing. The last 7 years of development of the Floriani product line, for me personally, have been 7 years of pride, 7 years of accomplishment, and 7 years of what I call my passion play. It has indeed become and always will be a passion for me. As I began, I stated that this, again, is a very historical moment for myself and R&K as we begin this evolution into the FTC-U product. But while this webinar is dedicated to FTC-U, I want everyone and assure everyone that owns the suite, Floriani Suite and Floriani Total Control Pro, that we have no intention of ignoring those two amazing programs. Remember, by sending you our new free update to Total Control U on a separate disk, it allows you to continue to use any and every feature of your Suite or Total Control Pro. Those of you who purchase Suite still have all of the benefits of Suite. Those of you who paid a little extra to have Total Control Pro still have all the extra benefits and features not found in Suite. You have your programs, you're able to use them, but you know what? Today I'm going to focus on some of the new features and benefits to the new Total Control update. And I'd like to start out by saying that we are so excited about this new software. We have new programmers, programming partners with over 30 in-house programmers. That's amazing, folks. The potential that we have with this new platform is unbelievable. DJ and I have talked a great deal. We truly believe we see the future of software and designs in this industry, and we really believe we can make it happen now. We simply want to turn our vision into reality. You see, when we undertook this, I wanted to, and I guess I should say that with FTCP, I truly believe we simplified the digitizing process. With what I've always called our segmented auto digitizing, it simplified it greatly. But could I revolutionize it? Could digitizing truly be revolutionized? Could I make auto digitizing a reality? Look, it seemed to me when we started this project that we had a couple of choices. Do we basically duplicate what we had, or do we create something new? See, I wanted to knock your socks off. For a couple of years, I've had a personal little dream about recreating the auto digitizing process. I truly believe that auto digitizing could become a reality. So I wanted to concentrate and see if we could make a big change there. Font technology has always been kind of a pet peeve of me. Very seldom, honestly, ever used them. So I wanted to attack font technology. I wanted to see if we could revolutionize it and take it into a whole new futuristic aspect. Truly, I can't talk about it all now, but wait till you see what's coming with our font technology. I do have a lot to show you. I'm not going to talk this whole time, but I had to preface with a couple of these lines. And of course, I want to continue to simplify and amplify the software's usage. When we developed FTCP, I wanted to put a piece of software in your hands that you would truly use. Again, I didn't think people were using the software. I believe we've done that. You have made us the largest standalone software developers in the world in the last 7 years. I also want to tell you that I truly believe this is a great time to be a Floriani software owner. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get started, but I want to get started first talking about the fact that we've received numerous emails and calls from many of you asking if you'll be able to read your C2S files, which is the outline files for FTCP. And quite honestly, while I really saw no urgency in adding it to FTC-U initially, since you still have the former version with that ability to read them, I decided with as much concern that was being displayed, we'd go ahead and add the file extension to FTC-U. The new extension for FTC-U is our new WAF format. It's our new outline file. If you don't realize, it just stands for Walter A. Floriani. In fact, historically, that was the very first code I ever used when I became a digitizer. All my designs were labeled with, we called them WAF numbers, just WAF numbers. The software will now read C2S format. In fact, I was just made aware that that update will be ready on Monday, I believe, correct? The beginning of the week. Monday, Tuesday, we'll have that all for you. Now, I'm going to go ahead and bring up a C2S file. But before I do that, I want to kind of show you something, and then I'll go ahead and bring that design into the software. But one of the things that, again, I undertook, or that we undertook, was I wanted to redevelop auto-digitizing, folks, okay? Look, I know what you are all doing, or the majority of you are doing with the software. Many of you are editing with the software. It is very extreme editing software. You do have the same level of editing in FTC-U. I also know that Save to Sew was a feature that you were all using. But many of you were just using that, just Save to Sew and maybe doing some editing. But you see, folks, the dream for me was that I wanted you all to be able to create an embroidery design. Creating an embroidery design amplifies the enjoyment of the process. You know what? I literally can walk into a room with people that I've taught over the last few years, and I can tell when someone walks in the room if they created their first embroidery design. I see it on your face. It amplifies the joy. It amplifies the process for you. All right? So I'd like to show you what we did with auto-digitizing, because I truly believe that it could be revolutionized, but some things had to change. Look, I'm actually going to jump over to FTCP right now, and I'm going to show you auto-digitizing in FTCP. And this is pretty much throughout the industry how auto-digitizing works. You simply click on the auto-digitizing icon, you select the design to do. At that point in time, you size the design. Let me go ahead and just size it. You hit next, it gives you your color sequencing, and then you hit finish, and the design will be created, okay? And up it comes. Now, a couple of things with auto-digitizing. First of all, the stitch type that is chosen when one auto-digitizes is based on width. That's why if you look at this one right here, you've got part of the area in satin stitches, the rest of the area is of orange there in fill stitching, okay? That was an issue to some extent. Also, over here in the color sequencing, it always seems to put the outline before the background, so we can just move that down there. That's never been a challenge. To fix this in FTCP, actually it's pretty easy. You just hit the plus sign. Over here you come down, you'll see it says a satin stitch right there. You could select it. You could right-click and at this point say convert it to a complex fill, all right? But quite honestly, the way auto-digitizing worked, this design's not done. It was based on the artwork. The artwork wasn't real good with this design. We had very thin areas of the satin stitch, very wide areas of the satin stitch. If I zoom in here, look, I always called auto-digitizing edit digitizing, because what I would have to do at this point is I would have to select the black. I would have to come into edit. Okay, well, excuse me, into shape, right here. Then I could come in and say I want to edit just the outlines. I get all these blue lines, but now I've got to come in and I've got several hours of editing just to change all those widths throughout the entire design. Plus, there are no distortion values ever applied in the auto-digitizing process. So when we undertook this project in FTC-U, DJ and I talked a lot about it, and I said what needs to happen is we need to have more rules for auto-digitizing. There have to be rules of width. There have to be different rules applied to the process. Could it be done? Could we truly revolutionize this process? Well, we talked to the programmers, and I have to tell you something at this point, right off the bat. Talking to the programmers that we now work with, one of the most exciting things was I never heard, no, we can't do that. All I ever heard was, yeah, I think we can do that. I think we can do that. So I'd like to show you very simply what we came up with. I'm going to go ahead and just back out of this software now, and we'll open up the other software. Okay? This is FTC-U, folks, all right? Right up here, right off the bat, is your auto-digitizing wizard. You have a little down arrow right next to the icon. If you click on it, you're going to see that you do have a cross-stitch wizard. You have a photo stitch wizard. It's in there, but the photo stitch has, I still have to work on that quite a bit, but I did go ahead and leave it in there. I've had a few people tell me that they've done all right with it, but I'm not satisfied. I'll be very honest with the photo stitch wizard yet. You do have an auto artwork wizard, but this is your auto digitizing wizard. Just select it. It pops up here on the screen, but it takes you to your wizard right here. The first thing you're going to do is select your image. Okay. I chose the basketball, so you just click open and then you click next. And just like in the other software, at this point in time, you size it. So I'm going to put in the same exact size. All right. Then you hit next. Now, here's a screen that I'd like to see change, because right now it's telling you the white sees the background, then the black, then the orange. I'd like to put the number 2 in the orange, number 3 in the black, and have it created in that order. That's not done, but that is something that I'd like to see done. You hit next. It takes you to a tolerance screen that's going to develop further. You hit next again, and now you get to an auto-digitizing wizard on what we simply call judgment. You have a sequencing order. Do you want to minimize your color changes? Do you want to minimize your jumps? Do you want to always implant a lock stitch, never, or just around the trims? Do you want to never trim, always trim, or trim at a certain stitch length? All right? So you get some new rules. This will probably advance further, but that was a nice development to it, and then you simply hit finish. Okay? Now, once again, you've always got the wrong order here, so I'm just going to right-click on the orange one, and I'm going to say move it up to the first position. There it is. I'm going to make it look 3D. Okay? Now, I should have opened up that other one. Let me go ahead and open up. Now, I'm going to open up the C2S file now on the basketball. Here it is right now, right out of FTCP, and I'm going to open it up. Okay? And up it'll come on the screen. But this is what we had. And see, because of the artwork, and when I make it look 3D here, let me go ahead and move the black behind it, let's be fair, okay? You see the thicks and the thins that I had? That was part in the redevelopment of the rules that we added. We added rules of width, saying, okay, if you can identify that as a satin stitch, cannot we apply just a standard width to it or a minimum width to it that could balance that out? We basically just created more rules for the auto-digitizing process. Look, this is what we've always had with auto-digitizing. This is what you now have. Okay, now, you have the same issue here with the satin stitch, but watch how simple this is now. Simply come over to your sequence view, click your plus sign. As you scroll down along the pieces, you'll see a satin path. Now, no more right-clicking. Select your satin path. The box comes up around it. Right down here in this bottom icon is your standard fill. Just click on standard fill. That design is ready to run. Now, normally, we're going to run through saves or so, and I still will, but look at this, and I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. You zoom in and look at this now. There are already distortion values applied. It's already distorting for you right there, okay? Right there, right then. That design is done and ready to go, all right? Now, it's just not real simple designs like that basketball design, but I'll tell you what you're looking at right there, and I'll jump back to it one more time, okay? This is what we've always had, okay? This is what you now have. Folks, I have to tell you, that's revolutionary, okay? That's revolutionary. That's redeveloped auto-digitizing. I just finished an event where the software has been in several of my clients' hands several weeks, and I had more than 3 people come up to me and say, your auto-digitizing is amazing. Miss Kathy came online earlier today and told me she had a design. She did a design at a class, and she couldn't believe how well it came out. Give it a try, folks. It's so simple, and again, I'll show you. And again, it's not just simple designs like this. Click on your auto-digitizing wizard, hit select image. Actually, I have to go into another area. Excuse me. into the computer, into my, this is where I go, my 86, hold on, into Floriani right here, into Total Control U, into Library, and into Images. But we can go a fairly complex design. Here, look at this. We'll take this hamburger design. Click Open, okay, and click Next. Give it your size right here. I'm just going to give it about a 4-inch size and width, and hit Next. Up comes my color sequencing right then. Hit Next. There's my vectorized image. You see it's vectorizing it as it brings in, and that's one of the reasons it converts so cleanly and so clear. Hit Next. I get my judgment page and finish. Now once again, when it comes out, and I really want this to be controlled, I want that ability to say, I always want that black to be last. Again, you're looking at the first evolution of it, but you know what, folks? That design is ready to run, okay? It's ready to run. Now, if I zoom in here, certainly, okay, you're going to see without the 3D that it's got underlay in it, but you do have your Save to Sew. So you can click on Save to Sew at this time. You can come down here and say, I'm going to put you on a piece of fleece, and I digitized it. Next, it's going to change the density, underlay, the pull comp, and we've added other settings having to do with lock stitches and such. So Save to Sew has now been amplified. You click Next, and now it's going to tell you how to stabilize. Always been a highlight to the Save to Sew process is the stabilization is in there, and Finish. And that design is ready to go for fleece. If we back out, that design now has 22,167 stitches in it. Once again, you can come up to Save to Sew and say, you know what, I just ran you on a piece of fleece, now I'm going to put you on a piece of batiste. Next, Next. It's going to tell you how to stabilize and then Finish. The design is ready to go. The design had in it 22,167, 17,166 stitches. You've got your Save to Sew. You've got your editing in the same order that it went with. What you have is you have brand new auto-digitizing software that has revolutionized the embroidery process. Okay, now, more than that, yeah, you get lots more than that. Look, I want to take you into font technology and such in a couple of minutes, but what I want to show you down here is something that I'm real excited about. First of all, I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to select, I'm going to open up this part of the fill and grab that top one. In the other software, or in the FTCP, okay, in FTCP, there were a lot of right clicks. You could come up here to the properties box and you had different fills, fancy fills, or what we called embossing fills, motif fills. We've amplified that, and it's been simplified because now what you have down here, these icons down here. See, let me explain something. I always found that part of simplifying to amplify, a big part of that for me has been icons. When I put icons into the other platform, people tended to use that icon, okay? They're not always right-clicking and finding the areas where they can go at that point in time. There were a lot of right-click, drop-down menus, or selecting over in the properties box. So right off the bat, the first icon, well, the first one is just my standard fill, what you see on the screen. But the next one are fancy fills. Fancy fills are your embossed fills. So you can click on a fancy fill, up it comes. Over here in the fancy fills, you can come in here and you can select them. You have a magnificent choice of fancy fills. Select one, just click apply, and it'll change just that quickly. But you're all icon-based down here. I truly believe you'll use that. My intent is that you all create. I want you to create. Folks, it's so much fun, and it has been so simplified at this point in time. I've never been so excited about something in my life. When we gave them these rules and they went and applied it, and I saw the first issue of this came out, the first software that we got in, and this worked, it did what it does, it was amazing. And then amplified even more so because now you have these icons at the bottom, so you have your fancy fills, your embossed fills. You have your motif fills. Click on it, it'll bring up a motif. You have your motif selection over here. Select any motif, simply hit apply, and the motif changes just like that. So you have these fabulous motif fills. You have gradient fills, color blend fills. Click on a gradient fill. I can say, you know what, on the first one, let's just fill the whole area. Let's go ahead and change the color on that one. Let's go ahead and let's say we'll make that some kind of a red. Yeah, let's find a nice red, okay? And then we're going to say we want a second color blend, and we're going to go ahead and make this one a linear increasing, and let's do this one a nice orange. Let's come down here and just find an orange we can utilize. There, I can just utilize that one right there. It'll probably be okay. And apply it, and there you go. You have amazing blends that you can use. You have none. You have linear increasing, decreasing, convex, concave. As I say with all software, make yourself some square boxes and just run squares with these different effects in it, folks. You'll see what they stitch out, because they always look better when they stitch out for you. But you can apply those effects to it. So you have your color blending. You also have something now called a wave fill, okay? So you can come down here and you can click on your wave, and it'll create a wave effect, okay? You can change the density to change that effect, but get this, you also have a wave color blend. So you can come in here and hit the color blend, and once again I can say I don't want anyone on the top one, and let's do a linear decreasing one on the second one, and let's make that one just we can make it yellow or just another orange again, and apply it. Now you have the wave effect, but once selected, you can come down to shape, click on shape. Now you can move your wave. You have your Bezier curve, right click, and it will change it that quickly for you. So you have a whole series of wave fills that you create with different effects. Now, you can also do the waves using the motifs. So you have the ability to implant motifs and wave those motifs also. So it's limitless software, limitless software. So you have your wave gradients, all right? You have your wave color blends. Now, you can also come in there and you can stipple if you'd like to stipple. So you can click auto stipple. Once again, just come in and change the density, and you'll change your effect on your stippling. And then you have cross stitch. So you can also apply cross stitch. It's icon based. You have those same things with your satin stitches. In fact, a piece of artwork, I can just make a very simple piece of artwork here. I can take this artwork and I can say, you know what, once selected, let's just put a run stitch around it. It'll put a run stitch around the outside border. I can do a motif run. I can do a steel stitch border around it. I can make it a standard satin stitch. You can do a jagged satin. Okay, you have all kinds of offsets on your jagged over here. You can do color blend satin stitches. You have a warning page. You see when that came up, one of the things that we added into the software, and this is going to fully develop over some time, but if you make satin stitches that are too wide to be satin stitches, you're going to get a warning that says you're too wide to be a satin stitch. You want me to be a fill stitch, and it will eventually auto change to that. You're going to make fill stitches too narrow, and it's going to warn you it's too narrow. Do you want to make it a satin stitch? That's not fully developed, but it will be fully developed over a little bit of time. I've always thought having a nice set of warnings would be a great thing. You have something called a spiral satin. You can apply that to it. You have a gradient satin where you can gradient it with different colors. You have a fancy satin. Get this. You can now apply, let me change the color on that. You can now, and no more right-clicking down. All you got to do is left-click to change color. But now with satin stitching, you can apply your embossing to it. So just go into your fancy satin, and it works just like embossing with a fill stitch. You can pick your different embossing pattern and simply apply it to satin stitching now. Okay? So you also have your contour satin stitch that scrolls out from the center. You have something called a radial satin that's kind of cool. And then you have your auto satin, which again is just like a standard satin stitch. This is icon-based. I truly believe you're going to use that because it's icon-based. I really think we've revolutionized auto-digitizing. Please just all give it a try. You're going to see how simple it really is. The font technology, excuse me, before I show you font technology, I want you to see this too. I'm going to make just another rectangle here, okay? Once it's made, I'm simply going to apply a standard fill stitch to it. I'm going to change the color. Now you can change color down here by over on this side with the double arrow. It'll move the entire line, okay? You can hit the single arrow on either side and just move one at a time. Or you have a search. If you know which color you're looking for, you can just click on your search, put in your search, and it'll bring up your color. Let's just go ahead and change it to that. But what I want to show you now is watch this. This is pretty cool. I'm going to hit File and Import True Type Text. And I'm just going to type my name here, Floriani. And click OK. Comes up on the screen. I'm going to spread this out all the way across. Let me spread it out a little bit on this side. It's already selected. Come right down here, excuse me, and you have your embossing. Just click on embossing at this point in time. Once it's done, a right click and just say delete that. And let me make it look 3D. And you see how the name Floriani is in there? Can you all see that? Can you see that on that screen there, DJ? I'm going to make it yellow and you'll all see it better. And you see how the name Floriani is in there? You can even do that. Look, folks, there are a whole series of symbols. You can even do that with symbols. You can take an embroidery design, and let me back out of that Floriani on there. Could have just made another box, couldn't I have? Oops. Let's go ahead and change that back to that yellow. But I can grab one of my symbols. The symbols are right here. So I can pick, let's say, this anchor, and I can pull it and drag it up on the screen. Once it's up on the screen, I actually have a stitch file, okay? Once it's selected, though, I can select it, and I can come right down here to embossing again, click on embossing, then a right click and delete it, and I now have that anchor within the fill. I just think that's really a very cool feature, all right? Let me show you some of the font technology within the software. Now, let me tell you about fonts, all right? Fonts for me, again, were something I very, very seldom used. There was just the way that they ran, they never really ran that well. It always seemed to me like the people who were creating fonts weren't real digitizers. They were more graphic programmers. We have installed 150 new fonts in here. 95% of them have what's called closest point connect technology. Now, that's very, very important. And over time, you will see, and it will become quite evident how clever that is and how important that is. But the way font technology works, just click on your text tool, come in the screen, click on it. Now you can just type your text. My text, that's fine. Okay, I can move it at this point in time. Just get it in the center of the screen. Come over here, up at the top, you've got your 3D shadow, and you can just start scrolling down. Now, what I mean by closest point connect, I'm going to go ahead and bring one up right now. I can just apply it, and what it actually means is that, of course, the closest point from one letter into the next letter is at the point that they're going to conjunct, where they're going to meet, okay? Now, let me explain why this was put together. First of all, let me go into text extra, and tell it that I don't want to trim in between that. I want that to be a stitch in between, especially when I'm doing small lettering. And I'll try to explain one of the important values of having this in here, the closest point connect technology. Because it's closest point, one of the tricks that I do when I'm doing small lettering is that this stitch, when I run it, if I haven't made a trim there, I don't like trims all the time when I'm running my embroidery. So many times I choose to trim that out. But I don't like that stitch. It's always been a pet peeve with me. In fact, I say I hate that stitch. I dislike it so much, I am compelled to stop the machine and trim that out while the machine has been running. I'll stop it and trim it out. It bothers me so much. The reason that stitch shows is because it's an elongated stitch. I finish the M, I step right over into the Y. That's actually floating on top of the fabric. Now, many of you have seen this trick, but I'm going to show you again. What I've always done is that you get your stitch edit tool, and I go into the Y, and I look for the first stitch that it stepped into that Y. It's right there. I right-click, and I'll say Insert before it, and I'll actually put 2 to 3 tiny little stitches in between the M and the Y. I'll go ahead and mark the needle penetration so that you can see those little stitches. When you do that, you're actually driving those stitches down into the material. They'll never show again. They drive right down into the fabric. You do not see them, and you never have to trim that thread out again. See, another thing that takes place, you go ahead to trim that out, and many times the letter before unravels in your fingertips. It's because it was not made, it was not lock stitched correctly. It happens a lot with font technology. Now, because we have that closest point connect technology, and I use this again pretty exclusively on small lettering, but this is a pathing technique, moving from one structure to another. We're going to be able to automate those types of functions. Again, this new platform, 30+ in-house programmers, we're just scratching the surface at what we can do with our embroidery software now. We're just scratching the surface. That's going to be able to be automated. I'm very, very excited about that. Let's go ahead and back into the fonts. Let me show you some more of these fonts. Now, the fonts, you go over them, it's going to show you all of the fonts that you get within any given font. It's also going to tell you the sizing, a minimum of 10 millimeters and your maximum. It tells you in both metric and in inches, all right? But let me just show you some of these fonts here. We now have, I believe, 4 running stitch fonts. So for very, very minute lettering, you now have been amplified up to 4 different running stitch fonts. You'll see them as we go through there. But 150 new fonts, 95% of them closest point connect technology. The font technology in this software, I truly believe when you run it, you'll never see anything like it. They run magnificent. They absolutely run magnificent. In fact, wait till you see what we've got coming up with fonts. It's going to take a little bit of time, but wait till you see what we're going to be able to do with font technology. You got 150 new ones right there in front of you. There was a running stitch one right there. It is amazing. Now, all I showed you so far was just straight texting, because right next to the text tool, text icon, you have your down arrow. Click on it, because you also have text on an arch. So you can click on that. Just come in and click on it. It's going to say My Text, but now it's going to do it in an arch. You can also do, you now have upper and lower lines here. You have your height, you have your width, you have your spacing. So you have arched lettering, but now get this, you also have vertical lettering. Now, you could click on the vertical lettering, or you could just come over here. I'd have to click again to generate it. You can right-click and say you want that actually be a vertical frame. Click on your vertical frame, and it will change it right there on the screen for you. So you have vertical texting, and same thing here. Because of that closest point connect technology, now in the M, where it would have been on the top right, if it was next to it, it puts it over here on the bottom left. Also closest point connect even. So the point is, no matter what you change it to, no matter whether you're saying go vertical, go left to right, right to left, center out, it's always going to conjoin it at the closest point. It's amazing technology. So you have your vertical, and then I'm going to show you one more. With the font technology, you now have shapes or paths, excuse me. When I click on that, up's going to come the available paths. These are the paths that have been created for you so far. So I can click on this one right here, Then I can come in and just write, let's just go ahead and put my name, Walter Floriani. Click apply, and it will follow that path. There you go. Okay? I really love that pathing. I just think that's a very special aspect. Now, let me show you something else that you get with the fonts, or in addition to the fonts. Let's go ahead and just open up a design. I'll open up, let me just open up like my Fun Club logo. One of the things that we're real excited about, or I'm real excited about, again, I'll open up that C2S format, is once you have a design up on the screen, I'm going to go ahead and my text again, and we're just going to do straight texting. But once that's up on the screen, you come over to this icon. This is name drops, folks, okay? If I click on the name drops here, I can now come in, and my base file name is my Fun Club design. There's my output directory, okay? I don't want to open the files yet. Now, if I want to change that, I can come in there, and I can just type in, actually, I'm just going to click for a new one, and I'm just going to type in here, Walter. And then I can click on another one. See, this is for like teams. So if I've got a bowling team, if I have a baseball team, if I'm working for any kind of team sports, or I just want to do Christmas presents and I'm doing all my ornaments and I want to change the name. Now, you can change the design, you can change your alignment. Once you hit save, you can also preview them. So I can click on like this one, and I can preview it, and you'll actually see it with the name Walter. Well, I guess I could have put it in the right position. But I put it in the right position, then you can preview it. So you have a whole series now of name drops. You can change designs within them. It's a great little advancement. It comes right along with the text function. You can use it with any design. The big thing to remember is once you have a design on the screen, you do need to click on the text tool, click on the screen, and then come over here and click on your name drops. Now, show you a little bit about the monogramming. You have a specific monogram key, click on monogram. Now, what you have over here now are, I believe there are 32 distinct letter styles used specifically with monogramming. Now, many of them have new decor. So when you have one with decor, it'll show up here, okay? You can pick your decor, and you click this down arrow here, and you'll see all the decor that's available within that. Pick your decor, just hit apply. Do it to fit, so it'll fit the page. You have a whole new series of decor, and you've got 32 very distinct letter styles that you now can use with your monogramming. Choose any one. Once again, come in and just pick the decor. The decor is different for each one. Select it, and up it comes. And they run great. They truly, truly do run great. The name drop is just a great addition to the entire functionality on it. So you've got monogramming, 32 distinct fonts. You've got your auto-digitizing wizard. You have a split wizard up here. You still have your sequencing. You have your optimize entry exit. You have your color sort. Again, you got your auto-basting still, your duplicate. You have templates now. So you can click on templates, and you now have different templates, and you can stitch them all in these different templates. Let's go ahead and do that. Click apply. You'll see them in there. Just click OK. Up it'll come on the screen. So you have your template page on there now. You also have a circle template. So you can do circle templates, and it'll show you as you go through there your different circle templates that you have. So you have your circle templates. You have create outlines. You have all your flipping and such like that. And I want to show you just a couple of other things right in here. Of course, you do have over here, you have all your symbols. If you come into all your symbols, and these are like stock designs, again, that you can just use. Let me go ahead and just bring up another screen. When you click on your symbols, these are all the symbols that you currently have. Click on any symbol, and it works like it used to work in the other program. Just click and drag. You can bring them up, different sizes. have all your symbols on there. You do have your framing system on there. Now, you get lots more than that with this software too, because what I'd like to do, and that was kind of quick, but again, auto-digitizing, font technology, name drops, the ability to do all that style of embossing, all your fancy stitching down here. Try something, folks. Bring a design in and auto-digitize it. But what I'd like to concentrate on now and show you is the Floriani Club. You simply click on this little icon. Now, I've already opened them up so that I could already be in it. But I'm going to click on the My Floriani Club. Look, you have to be a Floriani software owner to be part of My Floriani Club. But on the club, on a daily basis, you now get a blog from me. We still offer digitizing services. You have now a project of the month. There's new product insight. There's a monthly design project. Look what we're doing. You go into the monthly design project. These are different projects you can do with the designs. Below that, your project competitions. We actually have competitions now where you do the competition, you send in your design work, I select them, and you can win some really valuable prizes in the project competitions. Webinars. Now, not only are we going to have the same type of standard webinars we've always had, but what I plan to do with webinars is have some guests come in. I have some very dear digitizing friends, some dear German digitizing buddies of mine that I would really like to expose you to their work and such. So I'm going to try to bring in some guests. That's not going to happen overnight, but that's going to happen pretty soon. There's goodies and extras, training and lessons. You do have an account. And now I'd like to talk to you about the cloud, all right? And I'm going to go ahead and read right from here. You're only one click away from Floriani Total Control Universe. It's a gateway to the cloud for creating your very own lettering designs. When you click on the link below, and it's only available here at the club, you're going to enter our new and exciting world of creating in the cloud. Not only will you be allowed to create the embroidery without a dongle, you don't even have to be using a specific computer, folks. Wherever you are, if you can get online, you can log into My Floriani Club on Floriani Total Control Universe and let the creating begin. This is a gift to all my Floriani embroidery software owners for a full year for free. Now, a full year, look, this stuff takes a lot, costs a lot to put together. We want to make sure that you use it, so we're going to look at it past that time. But to begin with, down here, you can click below to view some videos. So you can look at some videos with Kathy watching how to work the software, although I'm going to show you how to do that, and you get a nice little presentation here. But right now, just click here to enter the universe. It's actually going to bring this up right here. What you're going to see are a series of designs. Now you can click Load More Designs. There are a bunch of designs in here. I'm going to go ahead and just click a few more. Load More Designs. Load more designs, and you can just keep going. Load more designs, load more designs, and you can just keep adding designs. Now, once you pick a design that you want, let's see, Surf's up. We'll go ahead and grab this one right here. Click on it. Up, it'll come up on the screen. Okay. The first word is Surfs, so I can actually come in here and I can say, what's up? So I can just type what's. I can change the color. I can, first of all, pick a font, so I can come down and I can select different fonts. And again, folks, you do not have to be in the software on a specific computer. As long as you're a Floriani Club member, you have access to the cloud, okay? You can search for fonts up here. This one's kind of cool. You click on fonts, it'll change your font. We can leave it as up. If I want to change the coloring, I can come right in here and change the color. It'll change it immediately. You can come down here. I'll leave that the bamboo, or we'll go ahead and change that too. I can change the color right there. I can come in and pick another font. You can pick that. And then you can save to your WAF files, all right? You can come back. It's going to take you right back to the loading the designs. And you can just keep going on and on. You can keep adding more designs. There are a ton of designs in here. All that for you to use. And again, you do not have to be in the software. You do not have to be on any specific computer. All you need is your access code into the club, and you're ready to go. Now, I'm going to jump back to the software because I want to explain something about the C2S format. There's been a lot of talk, number one, that the C2S format was not going to work within the software. It does indeed, but not only does it work within the software, first of all, I'm going to bring the Fun Club design back up. And if we look at a Fun Club design, now this is a stitch file design, all right? And you know that when you bring up stitch files come in and you don't see necessarily the whole story within a stitch file. So if I go to open it up, you're going to say it says stitches, run, satin path. But when you click on it, you don't get all the actual data up here. It's actually just a standard fill. Now, when you bring open C2S files in FTC-T, you see it as the outline file. What I mean by that, I'm going to go ahead and bring the basketball design in that I brought in from the other software. And I'm just going to zoom right into here. When you open up in FTC-U, not only does it read the C2S format, it reads it as a C2S format. Let me explain. This brings in the current C2S from FTC-P as if it was created in FTC-U. That's why as you come over here and I go under that color right there, okay, here are all my, let me just zoom out a little bit. Here are all my fills right here, okay? So I click on a fill. Now, what's truly neat about that, because when you select that, okay, it reacts as if it was digitized within the software, meaning it doesn't see it as a stitch file. It's actually seeing it as the outline file as if it was created in FTC-U. What's neat about that is because now you have access to all this down here. If I want to come in and I want to make that a fancy fill, I can make that a fancy fill. I have all the attributes. It's reacting as if it was digitized. So being told that it doesn't read or that it doesn't read C2S format, they were incorrect. But these programmers took this and took it a step further. They made it so that it not only reads C2S, it sees it as C2S, and it gives you all the ability. So you get your actual density here. Want to make a change to that in your fancy fill? Click apply, and it'll change it just like that. Want to go ahead and do a gradient fill? Just tell it gradient fill. You don't want any one on the beginning one, and you want a linear increasing on the second color. Just change the color right here. It doesn't matter what I change it to. Apply, and it'll change it right there. Okay? Another really nice factor, too, with the C2S file, and watch this. I'm going to go ahead and just go back to the original on it, is the way that it treats underlay. Again, when this came in, it's a C2S all right, but it sees it with the underlay that it was digitized with, all right? So if I turn off the 3D function, I can actually come in here now and select it. I have all my underlay control right here. I can actually come in and say, I want you to be full lattice, turn off the perpendicular, and it gives you that kind of control. It actually will remove that other underlay and implant the proper underlay. This is also going to be released on the next update. This is a brand new update to the underlay function or to the C2S function. The C2S is coming out, and you do have this ability in C2S with your underlay. And of course, you have your save to sew in here. So if I come over to that, say that hamburger design that I did, we'll just go back a couple so we get back to our original. Again, like in all Floriani software, you have your unlimited undos, unlimited redos, undo to you undone, redo to you redone. Look at all that functionality that you have. And I truly believe because it's on the screen, I think those are functions that you're going to use. I truly believe that, folks. Every time I've ever turned it into an icon, it gets used more. You now have all these selections down here that you can make. I just want to show you in Save to So that in all your Save to So you have all the functionalities you have. I'm not going to go back anymore. Just Save to So, Batiste. I digitized it. Next. Next. It applies new settings, tells you how to stabilize, finish. That's ready to go to Batiste. We're at 15,000 stitches in it, 18,000 stitches because I had all the underlay turned off. And that, excuse me, it went down to 15,000 stitches. If I go up the fleece on it, got your Save to So right there. I digitized it. Next. Next, tells you how to stabilize it, finish. Guarantee that'll now run on it. We're at 15,155. You're now up to $23,000, 23,000 stitches dollars, 23,000 stitches going from Batiste to fleece. I cannot believe that I am already over time. Thank you for joining us. That's your first look at FTC-U. Please believe me, we are just getting started. You've seen nothing yet, folks. Wait till you see what's coming your way. The updates are going to be coming out pretty quick on FTC-U. I'm very, very proud of the program. I have to say that without DJ, I could not have accomplished this. He is an amazing asset. Thank you, Miss Kathy. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I love you all, folks. Hugs and stitches to every one of you. I hope you enjoyed what you saw. Bye-bye.